Okay, checking everything. Everything seems good so far. So let's see what's in the uppity up. Alrighty. Okay, everything is good. Now, to further ado, let's just talk about freezing rain, finish up the article, and then we continue to the ice storms. I sidetrack on in a bit talking about anything related to freezing rain and when it comes to freezing ice storms. Specifically ice storms, not freezing storms, that will be later. But anywho, let's get on to where I left off, which is aircraft. So pretty much that's part of the effects under 3. Ground level aircraft and the rest are just resources 4 through 6. Okay. Aircraft. Freezing rain is considered to be an extreme hazard to aircraft as it causes very rapid structural icing. Most helicopters and small airplanes lack the necessary dicing equipment to fly in freezing rain of any intensity, and heavy freezing rain can overwhelm even the most sophisticated dicing systems on large airplanes. Icing can increase an aircraft's weight, but not typically enough to cause a hazard. The main danger comes from ice changing the shape of its airfoils. Or airfoils? Airfoil. Or aerofoil is the cross sectional shape of a wing, blade, or sail. Hmm. Pretty short for an article. I mean, actually. Is a lot of here? Oh, yeah. A lot of content. 1 through 5. Shoot. And there's a lot of graphs. Well, anyhow, we're not going to talk about aviation much. We got to focus on just freezing rain. This will reduce lift and increase drag. All three factors increase stalling speed and reduce aircraft performance, making it very difficult to climb or even maintain level altitude. And let me lower volume in my end. An aircraft can most easily avoid freezing rain by moving into warm air. Under most conditions, this would require aircraft to descend, which it can usually do safely and easily even with moderate accumulation of structural ice. However, freezing rain is accompanied by a temperature inversion aloft, meaning that aircraft are required to climb to move into warmer air, which is potentially difficult and dangerous task with even a small amount of ice accumulation. For example, in 1994, American Eagle Flight 4184 encountered heavy air traffic and poor weather that postponed the arrival of this flight at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, where it was to have landed en route from Indianapolis, Indiana. The ATR 72, a twin engine turboprop carrying 68 people, entered a holding pattern 105 kilometers or 65 miles southeast of O'Hare. As the plane circled, super cold cloud droplets. Oh, gotta hydrate. Freezing rain or freezing drizzle form a ridge of ice on the upper surface of its wings, eventually causing the aircraft's autopilot to suddenly disconnect and the pilot to lose control. The ATR disintegrated on impact with a field below. All passengers and crew were killed. So, there was a tragedy. And, yeah, freezing ice on aircraft wing. So, I actually do see the metal part in the wing itself and how it it just has so much weight under it. Surprised that um there's not much ice around the rotor blades here on top of the head, but ice forms in different areas, especially one where one has sunshine and one does not have direct sunshine. Well, that was pretty much it for this article, understanding freezing rain under ice storms. Now, there's also freezing drizzle. Let me actually talk a bit about that and then go on to 5 things to know about ice storms. So freezing drizzle, let's go to contents, 1 formation, 2 effects, and 3, 4 just resources. Yeah, I could read this entirety of everything. I'm going to do a little bit in a fast pace. Freezing drizzle. Freezing drizzle is drizzle that freezes on contact with the ground or an object at or near the surface. Its MERTAR code is FZDZ. As you can see, it is part of the series of weather, so was freezing rain and ice storm. So now we're going to formation. Although freezing drizzle and freezing rain are similar in that they both involve liquid precipitation at the surface and sub-freezing temperatures, the mechanism leading to their developments are entirely different. Where freezing rain forms when frozen precipitation falls through a melting layer, freezing drizzle forms via the super cold warm rain process, in which cloud droplets coincide until they become heavy enough to fall out of the cloud. Coincide. I have difficulty in pronouncing it, so let's go see how you pronounce it. Let's go here. Okay. Coalesce. To come or grow together in a single mass. So it's coalesce. So so CUALESCE. Coalesce. Still remember how chunking. I have to admit, learning Spanish, that was one thing I actually came across with not just learning the language, is also just chunking it in order to remember how to spell the words and how to pronounce it. So coalesce is CUAL as col, and S is ES along with CE. So until they become heavy enough to fall out of the cloud. Despite this process taking place in a sub-freezing environment, the liquid water will not freeze if the environment temperature is above 18 Fahrenheit, -8 Celsius. If ice crystals are already present in this environment, the liquid droplets will freeze onto these crystals and be effectively removed before they can grow large enough to fall out of the cloud. As a result, freezing drizzle develops in shallow stratus-type clouds where saturation occurs entirely below the layer in which ice crystals can develop and grow. Now onto effects. When freezing drizzle accumulates on land, it creates an icy layer of glaze. Freezing drizzle alone does not generally result in significant ice accumulations due to its light, low-intensity nature. However, even thin layers of slick ice deposited on roads as black ice can cause extremely hazardous conditions resulting in vehicle crashes. Along with just falling on top of your head, even face forward, it sucks. Freezing drizzle is extremely dangerous to aircraft, as the super cold water droplets will freeze onto the airframe, degrading aircraft performance considerably. The loss of American Eagle Flight 4184 on October 31st, 1994 has been attributed to ice buildup due to freezing drizzle aloft. along with sea also freezing rain and black ice. We refer to that. Black ice, that is something, yeah, after winter storm, if I actually get to the point, I actually will talk about it. But yeah, coalesce. This is pretty much the article and all this information on frizzle, freezing drizzle. Not much, but anywho, now let's get on to the starters. Hira. And Hira, I got. Let me actually change up. Gotcha. Yeah, gotta change up my layout. Everything's good. Okay, everything should be perfectly in place. 5 things to know about ice storms. At a glance, ice storms can be dangerous and deadly, making it important to prepare. Numerous ice storms have created impacts that lasted for days. Ice storms can be dangerous, so it's necessary to understand them to properly prepare for the threats they can bring. There's 5 things you need to know about ice storms and how to prepare. This is under the Weather Channel by Lindo Lamb, February 09. So this was created on few days before the issues with increase of ice that's damaging power lines and the power grid in Texas. But just note that this thing, when it comes to snowing across mainland North America, it is, well, the mainland US and its North America counterpart, mainly the US and parts of Canada, I believe. It is been current for days, but the thing is, it's not letting up and it's getting worse. That's what makes it pretty scary. Now, let's get on to what causes an ice storm. Number 1. Ice forms when freezing rain accumulates on surfaces and the ground. Freezing occurs when air warmer than the freezing mark above the ground moves over sub-freezing air near the ground. When snow aloft falls through the warmer layer, it melts into rain. Then as the rain droplets fall into the shallow layer of sub-freezing air, the droplets freeze upon contact. I kept on saying contract. This creates a glaze of ice. So let's see here. This is very similar to the diagram I saw for due to ice storms, under how snow forms, then how sleet forms, how freezing rain forms, and then how rain. This goes with how the warm air is in a certain level when rain falls. When snow falls, which later becomes rain and stuff like that. So yeah, snow. There's no warm air. There's warm air way up here, but there's still cold air way below, so it just becomes sleet, melting away when it just pops out. But not when it drops. But for freezing rain, it only gets so much cold air, little of it once it starts dropping, but the whole time when it just comes out of the clouds and go through the down to the ground, it's just a bunch of warm air that just warms it up and this automatically freezes once it comes down because of the cold air. And for rain, it's just all warm air, so it's just rain from once it drops from its cloud and once it touches to the ground. Now onto temperatures both at the surface and few thousand feet above the ground helps determine the type of precipitation that is observed. Now let me see the time. In most areas of the US, an ice storm typically refers to an event where a quarter inch of ice accumulation occurs, producing a significant and possibly damaging acceleration of ice. So yeah, we're not gonna go with sponsor. If less than a quarter inch of ice is produced, it's usually more of a nuisance event with less severe impacts. However, it's important to remember that even a light glaze of ice can make travel hazardous. Yeah, that's pretty much the thing with ice. It can be very dangerous, even so little of it can um, just drop and lay, especially as it turns black ice and just remaining a nuisance. Well, anywho, I'll get to number two some other time. Other than that, so long.